Everybody was aware of the Indiana Jones game that released last December, but there wasn't a lot of hype around it. A first-person Indiana Jones game didn't seem to make a lot of sense, so most people, myself included, were quite skeptical. What not many of us expected, however, was that the game would actually be good. Never mind, be as good as it was. I don't think it's quite as good as most people are claiming it to be, but it's better than I expected, so let's get into this. So the choice to have this game use a first-person perspective was somewhat divisive, but by placing you directly in Indy's shoes, it transforms each step into an experience of discovery. The perspective makes environments come alive, encouraging you to slow down and study the world around you. Subtle details like the engravings or trails of dust foster a sense of genuine archaeology. The main ethos behind this decision was to really make it feel as though you yourself are in the tombs. The perspective also elevates puzzle solving. Instead of passively observing puzzles, you actively engage with them by inspecting the artifacts yourself, aligning symbols, or manipulating ancient mechanisms. The tactile nature of these interactions deepens your connection to the environment, making every solved mystery feel like your own triumph. Combined with atmospheric sound design and dynamic lighting, the lighting in this game is fantastic, the game creates an experience where every tomb feels vast and yet intimate. The puzzles, in my opinion, are the perfect level of difficulty for me, as I am an idiot. Some of the puzzles made me think a little bit, but I never got frustrated or stuck. To me, that's perfect. However, this same first-person perspective does still introduce challenges during combat. Indiana Jones is synonymous with dynamic, improvisational action, and the game does try to support this improvisation, with most melee weapons just being random items you can find on the ground. The actual combat, though, struggles to replicate this fluidity. When facing enemies in close quarters, the limited field of vision makes it difficult to track multiple opponents or anticipate their movements, often leaving you fumbling to respond. If you're fighting more than 2 enemies, then just forget about it, you're finished, run away. Fistfights, which should feel raw and visceral, instead come across as stiff and clunky, lacking the cinematic flair associated with this character. The lock-on feels weird, a lot of the punches don't feel like they really do anything, there's barely any feedback, it just feels janky the whole way through the game. The whip, which is supposed to be one of Indy's most iconic tools, also feels less intuitive in combat. While it works well for environmental interactions like swinging across chasms or pulling things closer to you, using it against enemies is awkward. Targeting foes while they're moving and timing a strike properly feels very imprecise, detracting from the whip's potential to deliver exciting creative moments. If there's one thing every single person knows about Indiana Jones, it's that he has a whip, but it does very little in this game. The gunplay is abysmal, and look, I wasn't expecting Wolfenstein here. These sort of mechanics would feel out of place in an Indiana Jones game, but at the same time, this is just not good. It feels so inaccurate. Most of the enemies just shrug off literal bullets. It gets to a point where I was questioning why I was even using the guns in the first place. I very rarely even used them. One of the biggest challenges with first-person combat is losing that sense of spatial awareness that a third-person perspective naturally provides. Indiana Jones is a master of using his environment in fights. In first person, the narrower viewpoint makes it harder to capitalise on environmental opportunities, which limits the creativity that is supposed to define Indiana Jones's battles. I think a wider FOV would have done wonders here. Ultimately, using first person to immerse you deeply in the thrill of discovery works in this game. Tombs feel mysterious and alive, puzzles feel tactile and rewarding, and the game's environments encourage you to explore every corner. Yet, this same perspective hinders the game's ability to fully capture the spirit of Indiana Jones. While you may be awed by the grandeur of the Great Circle's world, the clunkiness of the combat reminds you of the limitations inherent with such a bold design choice. But what really makes this game tick is the story. At its core, it's a classic Indiana Jones tale. It keeps the essence of the original films and does a brilliant job of fulfilling its purpose. The general gist is a giant man breaks into the university and steals something from Indy, who becomes obsessed with figuring out why and trying to get it back. So characteristically, he searches the globe for answers, only to be met with further questions and conspiracies, obviously involving the Nazis. But the main highlight of a story like this are the characters. Voss serves as the primary antagonist, embodying the Nazi regime's obsession with harnessing supernatural artifacts for world domination. He is characterised by his ruthless pursuit of power and his disdain for those who overvalue art and human connections. The best antagonists are always the ones that share similarities with the protagonists, and there are some great parallels between himself and Indy. His interactions with him are marked by psychological manipulation, often criticising Indy's personal attachment and dismissing the intrinsic value of art. Voss's ultimate goal is to unlock the power of the Great Circle, which he believes will grant the Nazis unparalleled control. Every single time this guy is on screen, he absolutely steals the show.
Schießen! Fällt Ihnen das besser? Möchten Sie das, hä?
Jetzt amüsieren Sie mich aber, Oberst. So wie ein Dorftrottel die Leute mit seinen drolligen Marotten amüsiert.
The heartbeat of the story, though, is Gina, a reporter Indy meets in the Vatican investigating the disappearance of her sister. Gina naturally becomes Indy's ally in the pursuit of the Great Circle. Her character adds depth to the narrative, introducing themes of familial loyalty and the personal cost of the quest for knowledge. Throughout their journey, Gina and Indy develop a complex relationship, balancing mutual respect and romantic tension. Their relationship is best encompassed by the scene at the inn, which I thought was really beautiful. The dialogue, the direction, the acting, it's peak. It can be difficult to create a deuteragonist when the story is set in between two existing pieces of canon for obvious continuity reasons, but I think they smashed it out of the park with Gina.
You do have a heart.
So just pray for everything.
But what about the level design? Is it open world? Does it have hub areas? Is it linear? The answer to all of these questions is yes. The game expertly balances expansive open hub areas with tightly crafted linear levels, preventing either style from having enough time to grow tiresome. The open hub areas such as the Vatican City and Giza and Sukhothai provide richly detailed environments to explore. The Vatican is a standout, offering a labyrinth of iconic landmarks, hidden passages and secret areas that immerse you in the historical and religious significance of the setting. You can engage in side quests, collect artifacts and uncover lore that adds depth to the main narrative. The best thing about the side missions is that they do not feel like side missions. One thing I absolutely loathe is when games give you an emotionally charged narrative but stick repetitive fetch quests in to pad out your playtime. Each side quest in the Great Circle feels like an extension of the game's story. It doesn't include details that you would 100% definitely need to understand the story, and in no way are they mandatory. But it feels sort of like a director's cut. It's not separate from the story, it's just more story, and some of them were truly fantastic. They feel so close in quality to the main missions. They flow so naturally, you want to do as many as you can. You're encouraged to uncover secrets at your own pace, with the game rewarding thorough exploration with unique items, skill upgrades and narrative insights. This is how the open areas create a sense of authentic adventure, capturing the thrill of archaeological discovery. The linear levels provide a different but equally engaging experience. These areas are tightly structured, designed to give you thorough, intense narrative beats and scripted set-piece moments. They often feature intricate puzzles that challenge you to use your wits and the tools at your disposal. The linearity enhances the pacing, allowing for moments of heightened tension and focused storytelling. These sequences contrast with the open world exploration, delivering action-packed moments and cinematic experiences that feel reminiscent of the classic films. I must say I did prefer the tighter focus of the linear sections personally, but I've always been someone who preferred linear games to the 100-hour open worlds that we've been plagued with over the last 10 years. The balance between these two types of levels is one of the game's greatest achievements. The open hub areas invite freedom and curiosity, making you feel like a genuine archaeologist piecing together history. Meanwhile, the linear levels drive the narrative forward, offering structured challenges and thrilling moments that ensure that everything retains momentum. Together, they create a cohesive experience that keeps you engaged and constantly shifting between exploration and action. This interplay between freedom and structure is what makes Indiana Jones and the Great Circle so compelling, as it captures the spirit of adventure that defines the character and the franchise. One thing I felt would be disingenuous to not mention is that I did have quite a few bugs. Some of them were just getting stuck in stuff, nothing too major. I have a really high tolerance for this kind of thing. Most notably though, I had a bug that does one of the most egregious things a bug can do. It erased my progress. I lost 2 hours of progress in Giza, I died in combat, and when I loaded back in, I was 2 hours earlier in an entirely different mission, with no way of going back to my current save. I believe the reason this occurred is because I was doing a side mission in an area I had previously been in the main story, so when I died, the game seemed to have just put me back to a main mission checkpoint in that exact same area for some reason, so that really sucked. But that aside, I thoroughly enjoyed the game. It's a dream experience for Indiana Jones fans, and even if you're not, it's a creative game that you could still enjoy. Not many people expected much from this one, but Machine Games delivered. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I hope that you really did enjoy it. It is now 2025. We have a bunch of stuff coming on the channel. Last week, I ranked every single game I played in 2024, so go and check that out. But for now, that is all from me. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, click the like button. If you want to see more videos, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Have a nice day, and goodbye.
Come on, this isn't fair.
Go away.